Nose rings are for livestock. I'm a furry.
Oh wow, I'm late to the party.
Nose rings are for livestock. I'm a furry. I'm a furry. You saying that not only does not bother me, but the only thing that does bother me is that the picture of the cow that you keep commenting in my comments is not the kind of cow I like. So, if you're gonna comment a cow, at least make it a Highland cow, okay? Or at least like a cow with horns, the little horns. I like the horns, okay? Okay? But my persona isn't even a cow. So, like, fuck off.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Ooh, after the last video I did on the psycho shooter, I wanted to do something a little more lighthearted. Also, I just ran across this video researching stuff, and this septum ring theory, I didn't even know it existed because there's just way too much stuff going on TikTok and the internet, and everyone's against each other and blah, 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 blah. Before I move on, though, I just want to let you know that I have a lot of history in the body modification world, and I'll have a great video to show you at the end. And in fact, at one time, maybe 20 or so years ago, I actually did have a nose. I did have a nose ring. I also had a nipple ring. I also have my tongue pierced. I had it all. So I think it's so funny how, like, the young generation, I think it's always like that. They always think they invented stuff, or that they're the ones who created, or they don't like the older generation of people who look at me. I literally could actually, if I wanted to, belong to those people. But with that, thanks so much for joining me. Thanks for coming back to the channel. Thanks for liking, subscribing. Thanks really just for the support of the channel. It does mean a lot to me. So with that, let's get into this, because I find it kind of interesting to listen to these. I've found certain ones that I really think are important, because there's a lot of hypocrisy, of course, on all sides. I'll just keep saying it, on all sides. And I think this is what makes the internet sort of the internet and TikTok, because it's all about this. You know that it's all about YouTube wants you to have these these fights with other people. They want you to have these sort of push against each other things. It's what makes these whole platforms run. So I'm a full-on middle ground person, and I think you all know that. But I would say that I think as you get older, my views of things have become a little more conservative, but not with body piercing and tattoos. You go right ahead and do what you need to do, friend, if that's what you need to do. But that being said, I think there's a lot of hypocrisy coming out of that community. So let's move on to this next one that I have.
Septum theory is a theory in which everybody who has a septum piercing is mentally unstable, weird, or has had trauma in their past. Everybody I've ever met who does have a septum piercing, including myself, falls into this category. But if you truly are going to judge people based off this theory and further stigmatize people who have trauma or just lack a piercing, you can suck my septum. While you're at it, a little bit of my snot might fall into your mouth, where you'll probably like it because you still have the mental capacity of a toddler who eats their boogers. Alright, that was my 2014 Tumblr cringe joke out of the way.
I really thought that one was interesting to me because, look, no one cares if you have a nose piercing. And if you literally cannot handle people making comments about your nose piercing or your tattoos, then you need to figure that out on your own, because I've had tattoos for 40 years, okay? You will never not get shit from people, okay? On top of the fact that now there's the internet, and then you go on to be very insulting and like a child, which you even admitted. So you're playing right into the whole thing. If you actually don't care and you have a nose ring and you have tattoos and you have big things all over your face, then if you don't even realize that people are going to say stuff to you, then what are you doing? Because it isn't the norm. And I think it is the reason why, I know for myself, the reason why I got all those things is because I didn't want to fit into the norm of society. And I did want to be an outlier. And I did want people to see me as different. So I know this for a fact is why you do these things, is to get attention. So then when you get the attention, which could be negative, you throw a little temper tantrum and say all of these insane things. The hypocrisy, because you say, oh, they all come at you, but then you turn around and do the same exact thing, because that means you do actually care what people think about you. Okay. So I just want to point this out. And I also want to point out that this idea that it's incels or it's this, so I put men in this situation as well, because the women just think it's these lonely dudes who are saying this and no, it's just a dude that never would date a woman with a nose piercing, okay? Or a woman with the tattoos, which I don't know why that's even a problem. And they're saying those things to you to get a rise out of you. It's how it works. And I just think there's a lot of hypocrisy in this new sort of trans body modification. We're different than you, but don't say anything about it. Like, deal with it. When you're going to look freaky, you're going to have to deal with it.
Like, I have a severe disability is so funny to me, dude. Basically the idea of septum theory is that, like, if you have one, everyone can automatically tell what your political alignment is, and that you have, like, all of this trauma and you've made it your entire personality. It's basically like blue hair and pronouns, as if everyone on the whole planet doesn't have pronouns. Do you know what I mean? So the idea of a septum theory, this was started because I made a video supporting Mamdani in New York, because he's going to do great things for the people of New York. And all of the Republicans flocked to that video and decided they had nothing to refute Mamdani's, like, they realized that they were wrong. So all they had to say was, septum theory never fails. You have a fucking hog ring in your nose, blah, 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 look like a cow. And I was like, is that all? Like, I know, I was there when this was stabbed into my nose. I am aware that this is here. That's all it is. It's just this silly little, oh, we know everything about you because you have one piece of jewelry. But if I take it out, which it's quite easy to take it out. I have to take it out for work. If I had one of those ones you could flip up, if I just flipped it up, you wouldn't be able to see it, and you would have no idea that I'm part of this septum theory nonsense, which invalidates your entire argument, because it's one single piece of jewelry that I can easily get rid of. And then once I do that, their only argument is that I'm fat, which again is not an argument. It's just an observation. So it's septum theory. All it does is prove that the person saying it to someone else is, hold on, I'm finding it. We'll say less than intelligent is what we'll say.
Oh my God. She just proved everything that she was trying to say wasn't. Like, you actually do fit the stereotype of the person with blue hair and the nose ring and all of that. You actually do. Who you're voting for, the way you talk about Republicans, everything you just said. And also, if you didn't want people to know that, why do you even have that? They proved, that person just proved what I told you earlier. They want you to think of them in a certain way. It's why they do wear the nose ring. And I cannot even believe the amount of, like, blonde hair, blue eye, just ladies who have nose rings now. It's like tattoos. I remember about 40 years ago, when you had a tattoo, you were considered like an outlier, you were considered a biker, or you were in prison, or you get this total stereotype. And now this, like, everyone has a tattoo. That's what happens. It does change. This kind of stuff changed. It got much more sort of accepted in mainstream. 100% it did. But the fact that you do not see what you just said is so insane to me. So yes, the nose ring theory kind of, I just have to say, it kind of is a very specific kind of person who has these things attached to them. It's, oh my God, it's embarrassing how, anyway, I'm just gonna move on to the next one.
There always has to be some dude in my comments going, septum ring theory. Let's let's get the obvious thing out of the way. I don't care who you are. If you put any time or energy into judging other people's body modifications and art, let alone taking the time out of your day to tell them you don't like what they've done with their own body, you're probably not a very pleasant person. Now, I've gotten plenty of hate comments for this piercing here, but I was confused as to what the septum ring theory is. What is the theory that is being built? And the only definition I could find was women with septum rings make their trauma their whole personality. Now, if I was an incel, I would probably fall victim to this logic as well. Girl with piercing always talking about trauma and mental illness. Now, I do think alternative people, or people who are actively in rejection of society's expectation of what they are supposed to look like, especially when it comes to women reclaiming our own bodies and modifying them how we want, yeah, there is a little bit more mental health awareness that comes with that. And some people do make their trauma their whole personality. But there's a difference between that and being open and aware. Now, most of the people who are going to make this baseless, senseless comment are not trying to actually get into the intricacies of mental health and self-expression, so I will leave you with this. One of my favorite perks of this piercing right here is that it deters judgmental people, like the ones who leave those comments. Your value decreases when you get that piercing. You saying that to me signifies that I am not in the right place and I must escape immediately and get away from anyone like you, bro. And also, it's just really cute. I like it. And this way, some other baddies with septum piercings can find me. Don't judge a book by its cover.
So then why do you care? Then why do you care what people say about that? If that's literally what you want, why are you even making a comment about it? Why? Also, you fit the stereotype. You want to get out of a stereotype, but you put yourself back into a stereotype. The colored hair, the septum ring, the you're literally a stereotype. You're not original. You're not original. You now become the nose ring, blue hair, purple haired, stereotypical, non-binary. I bet you're non-binary, no doubt about it. It's so funny. It's just they think they're being so special, but then they're also hypocrite and they're also doing the same thing they don't like. They are judging, most of them are judging people's political space. Most of these are very anti-Republican, very conservative. So they're doing literally what they say is being done to them.
Just learned what the septum theory is, and apparently to people who are voted for the orange dude, it means girls who have their septum pierced have their trauma be their whole personality. Well, guess what? My trauma gave me a personality disorder. Don't know what you want me to do. Sorry.
My trauma gave me a personality disorder. At least they're admitting about their trauma. And trauma is the new sort of buzzword, right? Everyone has trauma. I think a lot of people have trauma for sure. But the key here with the trauma, are you working on your trauma? Are you just wearing your trauma on your sleeve and just like not dealing with what the problem is with your trauma? Guarantee you most of these people are in the queer, the non-binary space. There's no doubt in my mind, okay? It's just, wow. Just wow. It's embarrassing.
Who's saying septum ring theory, there's only 3 options. I think I've boiled it down. Let me know if I got it wrong, okay? Option 1, you're either an incel, okay? I think that's an obvious one. Anybody who is saying septum ring theory, okay, let's move on. And number 2, if you're not full incel, at least extremely lonely, okay? Maybe you've been dumped recently, don't know how you had a partner to begin with, but I think that's probably where you're at. It's a lot of time on your hands if you're going, this is septum ring theory. Okay, third one, and this one I think makes a little more sense. Maybe everybody falls into this category. I think you're probably getting funneled down the alt-right pipeline. I think maybe you stumbled across the wrong fitness influencers. You probably don't like tattoos. You probably big on clean girl aesthetic. You like, I would never put a bumper sticker on a Bentley. You're so fucking boring. Come up with anything. Say something. The idea that you have to boil down your insult to...
Okay, you're so boring yourself, dude. Like, really? Well, he just went straight up for insults, right? The alt-right pipeline. All of that. Dude, look at me. Okay, and I've been doing this way before you. You're probably half my age. What are you talking about, okay? So I fought to hopefully non-stigmatize everything that you think you are, and here you are just making it worse again for everyone by saying all the, and what is this incel thing? Why is it only incels that are like creating the septum theory nonsense, right? Why are you even saying that? Because you see, I told you, these are TikToks. They're just playing into it to get views, to talk shit about other people. If you don't like being talked shit about, then don't talk shit about other people and move on and find something important to talk about. I don't really care that you have a nose piercing. Who cares? I wouldn't even, you're not my kind of person that I would hang out. I can already tell by your energy. Like, nope. It has nothing to do with your nose piercing or your tattoos, but it's just, I think what I'm trying to say here is, I think that body modification has been around for a very long time. Nose piercings, which have a historically long ass history, which I'm going to show you. And what I want to say about that is, don't forget the word colonization. These people, every single one that I told you, are the ones who do we are sitting on stolen land, we are, white people colonized everything. I think every single one of the people here that I showed you today are white. So this is a great space for me to bring you this.
Hello everybody, today by request we're talking about the history of nose piercings. So the history of piercing your nose, specifically your nostril, goes back about 4,000 years and originates in the Middle East. It's even referenced in the Bible. From the Middle East, the tradition was carried over to India by the Mughal Empire in about the 1500s. Piercing your nose, either your nostril or your septum, is a traditionally non-Western affectation. You find nostril or septum piercings in various Asian, Middle Eastern, African, or indigenous American cultures. But it didn't enter into traditionally Western cultures until about the year 1913, and as with many things, you can blame the French for this. Here's a drawing of an Egyptian woman from the 19th century wearing a nostril ring. And here we have a picture of a Fulani woman with a septum piercing. And here's a picture of a woman from Nepal wearing something that I'm not going to pronounce correctly called a jamke balaki, which is an ornamented septum ring. Some tribes, like the Asmat from Indonesia, have some rather impressive septum piercings. During the period of European colonization of the Americas, explorers Diego de Lando and Yermino de Aguilar all noted different nose piercings that they observed among the Mayans and other cultures in the area. They reported that different stones could have different meanings, that the size and shape of the beads could denote the specific society that a person came from. So yeah, nose piercing has a long, storied, diverse, and fascinating cultural history.
Oh, so I don't see any of these nose piercing people. They probably don't even know the history. They probably have no idea about the history of nose piercing. Yet here they are. They've literally co-opted, okay? They have stolen people's cultural thing for their sort of body modification, knowing no idea about it. Yet here we're sitting on stolen land. These people are the biggest hypocrites. They don't even know. Before any of this in the internet, the body piercing space came from the gay men's sexual BDSM. People would freak out. Some of these ladies they would freak out if they really knew some of the stuff that what they're wearing and where it came from. Trust me. So they don't care. They just want to be different or cool. It's the hip thing to do. It's cool to be trans and non-binary. And 5 years from now, no one's even going to talk about this stuff. And I told you, the transsexuals are going to be cleaning up this mess. Body modification world has been around. I was in it. Okay, I was married to one of the most famous body piercers out there who created a book called The Body Piercing Book. Okay, now everyone in the new younger generation talks shit about her, and also I have a very bad history with her because of my divorce. But so I want to show you how communities eat each other up. They eat each other's historical space up. They eat the elders of the community up. They don't respect where they come from. And going through all of this, I found this very fascinating video from a body piercing lady who just completely spoke such horrible things about a person who did a lot for the body piercing. Whether my personal opinion about Elaine is over there, I'm going to say Elaine did a lot for the body piercing world, and now they throw her under the bus. So let me just play this really quick.
So basically, anytime ever anyone brings up wanting to learn about piercings or becoming a piercer online, someone somewhere mentions, oh, read the piercing Bible. There's a lot of outdated information in the piercing Bible that's really not the best to learn from. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is transphobia, basically. The author of the piercing Bible, Elaine Angel, was married to Buck Angel, a very famous trans man and porn star who is problematic in his own right. But when they got divorced, in order to attempt to, not have to split assets and not have to pay money, Elaine decided to use the defense in court that because Buck had never gotten bottom surgery, he wasn't a real man, as only real men had that anatomy down there. And basically because they were technically both women, their marriage wasn't legal in the state, because this was before gay marriage was legalized. As you may imagine, opting to set a legal precedent that if you don't get bottom surgery or don't conform to specific things, you're not really trans or you're not really the gender you say you are is super harmful for a number of different reasons. Myself and other piercers have basically since then been asking Elaine to apologize and make a public statement saying, hey, I shouldn't have said this. This was wrong. Maybe donate some of the profits of her book to the Trans Legal Defense Fund or some kind of charity to help trans people.
So first off, little one, don't you dare get in my personal business. Number one. Number two, you're lying. That's not true. Yes, she did something very bad, okay? That became a very publicly open space. She really did a horrible thing, but whatever. I moved on from my life. And the fact that you're coming after, calling her transphobe, you're not even trans. Why would you have her that's between me and her and the trans community. You're not part of it. And also donating to the Trans Legal Defense Fund. What are you talking about? Okay. Elaine put a lot of time and energy into creating a really great space for the piercing world. I was there. I watched the work that woman did, traveled the world, created a book. You're just jealous. And then I went to your comments. They are so incredibly transphobic out at me. They're saying so many nasty things about me. So you're so-called trying to help the trans community. You're creating more transphobia with creating stuff like this and talking nonsense and lies, okay? So that being said, this is the hypocrisy of these communities. They're eating the body modification because they are because Elaine is transphobic. Oh, yeah, on some level, what she did was not cool, but I moved on. My life is amazing. I do a lot of work, but they're all calling me transphobic in the comments, which you and your people are the transphobic ones because you eat up your history. You're eating up the history of body modification. You're eating up the history of the trans world, which I personally did a lot of work to help create better laws and spaces in the world. This is the bullshit crap that I can't stand from these communities. And this person is fake and they're jealous of Elaine and it's so obvious. It's just so obvious. So with that, did I read you the what the sort of what it means, the septum piercing bullshit? It means septum ring theory is a controversial online stereotype that claims individuals with septum piercings are mentally unstable, politically radical, and sexually deviant. Well, that comes from the gay men's space in the 70s. And so when they were using all the piercings, that they were doing it before all these people were doing it. Okay. And it was about sexuality. So that deviant originating from far right and incel communities, that's not true. You're just saying that because it's your own theory. Show me the facts in that. It weaponizes body modification to dismiss opposing viewpoints. To dismiss opposing viewpoints, which is exactly what you do. I showed you in there. You also dismiss opposing viewpoints. So anyway, I just wanted to laugh, but at the same time, it's just so frustrating watching these communities are all so up their own asses and think that if you don't follow their way of being, you are a transphobe, you're an incel, you're a far right conservative, blah, blah, blah. It's just so pathetic and gross. Know your history. And you just co-opted body piercing from I showed you a historical place. Do you care? Do you actually care? So with that, Have a great rest of your day, everybody. And I'll see you guys all on the next one. And thanks so much for liking, subscribing, and helping me get these videos out to the world. Awesome. See you later.